Okay, so good day everyone. Now, this time we'll be talking about Parkinson's disease. So, Parkinson's disease, this is a condition wherein a person may have multiple shakes, okay, or what we call tremors. Now, over 100 people worldwide who are above the age of 60 will most likely be diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Now, if you notice guys, madalas common itong sakit na to sa mga matatanda. Now, it's more than just a movement disorder. Now, people with Parkinson's disease may develop depression, apathy, fatigue, and dementia if left unsupported. Now, one of the things that we have to remember about Parkinson's disease is that it's more than just a movement disorder. Now, kailangan din syempre, as usual, emotional support from the family, friends, okay? So that it won't lead to depression, apathy, etc., etc. Now, Parkinson's disease can affect anyone, irregardless of status. Now, allow me, guys, to present some people who have Parkinson's disease. So these are very popular people. Now, one of the most popular people who has Parkinson's disease is Muhammad Ali. Now, he was the one who popularized the quote, "Fly like a butterfly, sting like a bee." So he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease at the age of 42, and his Parkinson's is believed to be caused by repeated blows in the head. Okay, so as you all know, boxer si Muhammad Ali. So paulit-ulit siya tinatamaan sa ulo, and they speculate that his Parkinson's disease is because of the repeated blows in the head. Now, another prominent boxer na may Parkinson's disease is Freddie Roach. Now, I guess who doesn't know Freddie Roach, right? So, siya yung coach ni Manny Pacquiao. So, a former boxer himself, Freddie Roach has been suffering from Parkinson's disease for years, but never hindered him from training Pac-Man or Manny Pacquiao. Now, another person with Parkinson's disease is Pope John Paul II. So, he is known to be the longest-serving pope in history. Now, Vatican confirmed in 2003 na may Parkinson's disease siya, and he died in 2005 due to sepsis. Okay, if you notice, whenever he has masses, okay, mapapansin niyo yung kanyang shakes. Saka alam niyo ba yung cross na hawak niya is made out of aluminum because aluminum weighs less. Okay, so hindi siya ganun kabigat. And then lastly, another prominent person who has Parkinson's disease is Michael J. Fox. So ito special ang case ni Michael J. Fox. Why? Because he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease at the age of 29. Ulitin natin na sino ba ang pinaka-common nagkakaroon ng Parkinson's disease? Kadalasan yung mga matatanda, pero he was diagnosed at a very early age. Okay? Now, after he was diagnosed at the age of 29, he dedicated himself in Parkinson's disease research and established a foundation of his own. Okay, so for us to understand more about Parkinson's disease, allow me to show to you a clip, okay, from the Michael J. Fox Foundation to inform the public on what is Parkinson's disease. So I hope you enjoy this clip and have a better understanding of what Parkinson's disease is all about. And here we go.
I was 29 when I found out I had Parkinson's disease. I soon learned that each patient has their own version of Parkinson's, their own story to tell.
I was diagnosed in 2006. It was 2 weeks after my 39th birthday. That just came across me like, where did this come from? Why me?
I had noticed a few years prior that I wasn't smelling things as clearly, and I started off just kind of noticing a kind of a kink in my arm before I could just stop it. But then it came to a point where the thing that stops it, it wasn't there anymore.
I was writing thank you notes to people for my 50th birthday party, and I would start the note, the letters would get smaller and smaller, and sooner or later the hand wouldn't move. So I said, there's definitely something going on here.
About 2 years ago, December, I just had problems running. Like, my right leg just didn't keep up with the left leg. And I sort of blew it off, and then my husband saw me running, and he said, "What's wrong with you?" And it's like I had a stroke.
It was like you had a stroke or you did have a stroke?
No, I didn't. We were on vacation, so when we got back, I finally went to the doctor.
I had a really strong hand tremor, and I went to Portland. I kind of hid it for a while, and finally I was diagnosed. And I remember when you came out and told the world that you had Parkinson's, I just thought it was just a disease that made you shake. That's the only thing I knew about it.
So what was the reaction of your family?
Well, I prepared my wife first and wanted her to become comfortable with it. So I kept it to myself in my first year, and I dropped hints, and I brought up alerts, and I didn't directly tell her what the story was.
In our family, we always swept things under the rug. After you would come out with an article about going public with it, my sister started asking me questions. This was the first out of 8 siblings that had really asked me about it. And because I was the swimmer of the family, I went to college on a scholarship, and I just felt with my family that I was the loser with the disease.
The number one thing that the doctors tell you is don't stress out. How can you tell me not to stress out? You know what I'm saying? It's impossible. I mean, you don't get to decide at the moment you have Parkinson's, whether you're going through family issues. I had depression, and then I had the ending of a marriage, and then I had the Parkinson's all at once. It all hit at once, bam.
The big things, I mean, I'm up for the challenge that it takes to accomplish some things. It's the little things like putting a cup on a saucer.
Yeah.
They just drive me absolutely insane.
Yes. It just doesn't stop, except, when you're sleeping. I wish we could somehow sleepwalk.
And you dream when you're awake.
Yeah.
So much of what you do is precise and about balance and about a certain order in a way. And then to have Parkinson's, it seems like it kind of throws all that out the window.
It gets rough. Like the drawing is particular because there's certain details you want to draw, and now it's rather hard to keep that flowing, and it's kind of discouraging.
I can see that frustration, not being able to do what you've done to that point. How did that manifest itself in your relationships and in your other life?
Well, I think what happened is I felt like I had to do everything now, and so I sort of went on the extreme of exercising just because I wanted to get it all in. Training's not going well. Like, I developed a tendonitis because my gait's so odd. I have like this galloping gait. I've fallen a couple times. So this will be my last marathon.
When you're playing and you have injuries you know that you can recover from, you'll be all right, you'll be back on the court. If there's something that you can't fix, in your mind, you tend to think that you're weak. And I had to lose that because I really missed out on being able to spend some good time with these guys over the past few years because I was too nervous to go into the locker room because I didn't want the young guys seeing my hand shake.
Once you get past the idea that you did something to deserve this, or that if you're symptomatic, it's reflective of some kind of flaw, it's not. It's just a pure scientific thing. You're in the pharmaceutical business, right?
Yes, and I always thought through hard work and perseverance that we would get the answers, and the answers are elusive.
Acceptance doesn't mean resignation. You can accept it and then endeavor to change it.
Yeah, there's no escaping it. You have to accept it.
For me, it hasn't just all at once come and say, okay, I accept it. I don't know if this happened with you, but sometimes I think I don't have it. Sometimes I convince myself that, man, this, even though it's tremoring, well, maybe it's something else. My mind plays tricks on me sometimes, and then I had to look at myself and be, you got it,
I guess it took me a few years to say, okay, I was given this and I was given it for a reason. And I can either sit and sulk and be a victim or take this and run with it.
I finally let the NBA go. I don't need to be in the NBA. I don't need to be that player. I'm Brian Grant. I'm not Brian Grant the player, I'm Brian Grant the dad, the friend.
What you're doing is just like it's so heroic, it's so amazing, to be able to get people the tools and the financing to use their minds to zero in on the problem.
I mean, I really knew nothing about your foundation until I got diagnosed, and then, I was reading about it, and I just really liked the the work you're doing with the research and working with the collaboration. I mean, it's really very exciting.
If there's a possible cure, I will do whatever I can for it.
And that's what I've learned to do, is to let people come in and help, whereas before I was all about me and I can fix it, I can do this on my own, and now I know that I can't. I know that I do have to let these people come in and help.
Right.
I truly think I do have a mission, and I'm glad it's on your path.
There are over 1 million people living with Parkinson's in the United States. The cure may seem elusive, but we're not giving up. We face Parkinson's head-on. With purpose re-examined and new dreams to pursue, we've resolved to fight this disease. And with perseverance, we will keep pushing ahead. We may each have our own individual Parkinson's, but we all share one thing in common: hope.
Okie dokie. So that's that for that video. So I hope you were able to grasp what the full extent of Parkinson's is, okay, how it affects people, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's have a few facts about Parkinson's disease. Okay, now Parkinson's disease is mainly caused by a decrease in production of dopamine inside the brain. Okay, so about 60 to 80% of the dopamine cells die, at kapag mabot na siya ng 80%, normally dun na lumalabas ang symptoms ng Parkinson's disease. Now, another thing is, the main cause of Parkinson's disease remains to be unknown. Okay, however, it is believed that genetics and the environment plays a key role in the etiology of Parkinson's disease. Now, both are needed to ensure Parkinson's disease. If one is missing, it may not lead to the progression of Parkinson's disease. So, an example of which would be maraming mga magsasaka madalas nagkakaroon ng Parkinson's disease. It's because they are exposed to pesticides. And these pesticides causes the symptoms of Parkinson's disease. Now, another one would be the boxers. Okay, like Muhammad Ali, Freddie Roach, okay, kung sino pang boxer nandyan. Most of the time, these boxers gets Parkinson's disease because they get repeatedly blown in the head. Right? Now, another thing is that in 1967, that was the year na discover ang best drug for Parkinson's disease, which is levodopa. Now, ang problema lang sa paggamit ng levodopa is that, okay, dyskinesia is a main problem with levodopa. So you might be wondering, what is dyskinesia? It's an abnormal movement like tics or chorea, which is involuntary and often appears to be tremors. Now, nakakatawa kasi ang gamot na levodopa, which is the best drug for Parkinson's disease, can actually cause tremor-like symptoms. Okay, so ang ginawa ng levodopa, tinanggal yung Parkinson's, pero pinalitan naman ng ibang movement disorder. So this effect is very common effect with levodopa, and it can be managed using medications, but then again, multiple medications can create polypharmacy. And as you all know, guys, polypharmacy can cause a lot of drug-drug interaction. Another thing that you need to be reminded of is that there is no concrete way to diagnose Parkinson's disease. Normally, na-diagnose to kapag nagpakita ka na ng symptoms niya. Okay, and there is also no cure for Parkinson's disease. There's also only management. However, there are better ways nowadays to manage Parkinson's disease. It could be through surgery, combination of various drugs. So there are new drugs created for Parkinson's disease. And there are foundations like the Michael J. Fox Foundation, which tries to focus on how to treat Parkinson's disease. Okay? Now let's go back to our main topic for today. So what is Parkinson's disease and how does it affect us? Okay, now let's talk about first the physiology, more on the pathophysiology of Parkinson's disease. Now, the main problem with Parkinson's disease is that it affects the brain. Okay? And it occurs when certain nerve cells or neurons in a part of the brain called the substantia nigra gets damaged or die. Now, yung naka-highlight ngayon sa screen ninyo is the substantia nigra. So, let's get a full view of this. Okay, so if you notice, the substantia nigra is yung dark areas. Okay, dark areas in the basal ganglia of the brain. Now, the substantia nigra produces a vital chemical known as dopamine. Now, dopamine allows smooth muscles, smooth coordinated function of the body's muscles and movement. Now, the darker the substantia nigra is, the more it produces dopamine. So, meaning, kapag dark yung substantia nigra, then it means it's a healthy substantia nigra. It can produce a lot of dopamine. Now, the substantia nigra is divided into two areas, namely the pars compacta and then the pars reticulata. Okay, so hindi ko siya nailagay sa notes dito, so just listen to this recording. Now, the pars compacta is responsible for producing dopamine in the nigrostriatal pathway. Now, if you remember, guys, nigrostriatal pathway is the one that is responsible for coordinated movements. Now, the pars reticulata naman is responsible for producing GABA. Now, what is GABA? Okay, if you remember, guys, GABA is the major inhibitory neurotransmitter. Okay, now in the case of Parkinson's disease, hulaan nyo kung anong part ng substantia nigra ang affected. Well, obviously, the one that is responsible for producing dopamine in the nigrostriatal pathway, and that is the pars compacta. Okay, now, when approximately 80% of the dopamine-producing cells are damaged, the symptoms of Parkinson's disease appear. Now, if you notice, the substantia nigra becomes very light in color, indicating loss of functional cells. So, ibig sabihin, the lighter the substantia nigra is, the lesser it produces dopamine. Now, in the case of people with Parkinson's disease, oftentimes mapapansin nila, o makikita nila kapag nag-tissue biopsy, napaka-light na ng color ng substantia nigra. Okay, again, indicating that there is loss of dopaminergic cells. Now, let's have just a recap. Ilang percent ba usually ng dopamine cells ang dapat mawala bago lumabas ang simptomas ng Parkinson's disease? So, remember, that's about 60 to 80% of the dopamine cells. Okay? Now, let's talk about the 4 cardinal signs of Parkinson's disease. Now, the 4 cardinal signs would include, number 1, okay, we call this the resting tremors. Now, that is the classical sign of Parkinson's disease. Pag sinabi natin resting tremors, ito yung tremors na makikita mo kapag nagpapahinga ka. So, if you notice kayo sa mga videos, di ba nagpapahinga yung mga taong may Parkinson's disease, pero nanginginig sila. Now, tremors usually start as unilateral, meaning only one part of the body is affected. Like, say for example, the hands. Now, bakit ang hands? Because the hands are one of the most used part of the body. Now, tremor comes in 2 forms. Namely, we have the classic tremor. Okay, so this is the tremor while at rest, or the resting tremor. And then the other one would be the essential tremor. Now, ang essential tremor naman is a tremor that persists throughout movement and goes away at rest. So, ibig sabihin, pag ako may Parkinson's disease, tapos meron akong essential tremor, okay, kapag inangat ko ang kamay ko or pumupuwersa ako, kaya ba, nag-grip ako ng I'm creating a fist. Okay, I'm gripping my hands. Okay, the more I grip it, mas lalo siyang nanginginig. Okay, pero pag pinahinga ko yung kamay ko, nawawala yung tremors. Okay, unlike that of the classic tremor, ano ang characteristic nun? Pag nagpapahinga, doon ngayon nagkakaroon ng panginginig. Okay? Tapos kapag ginagalaw, nawawala naman. Right? Now, next cardinal sign of Parkinson's would be rigidity of movement. Okay? Now, rigidity meaning parang clog wheel yung paggalaw ng kamay mo. Okay? So, parang dahan-dahan. Parang cogwheel, sorry, not clog. Cogwheel movements of the arms or the limbs. So, that's an indication na may rigidity na in the movements. Now, next cardinal sign would be slow movements, so bradykinesia. Nagkakaroon ka ng shuffling steps. So, it's like short steps. Parang lotus feet. Yung parang dahan-dahan ka lang naglalakad, paunti-unti lang. Okay, so that's another classical sign of Parkinson's disease. And then lastly would be the stoop posture. Okay, so there is an abnormal gait and posture. Now, all 4 are the classical signs of Parkinson's disease, or 4 cardinal signs of Parkinson's disease. Now, what is, of course, the most classical sign would be the tremors. Okay, now other symptoms associated with Parkinson's disease would include small cramped handwriting, so shuffling walk, muffled speech. So, na-notice nyo kayo si Michael J. Fox, parang hirap siya magsalita. Okay, so that's a muffled speech. Or yung babae kanina. Okay, na parang kailangan mo nang huminga ng malalim bago makapagsalita ng maayos. And then, of course, depression. Now, why do you get depression? Kasi minsan nakakahiya magkaroon ng Parkinson's disease. Galaw ka ng galaw, parang hindi ka napapakali. So, most people get depressed when they have Parkinson's disease kasi hindi na nila nagagawa ang mga dating nagagawa nila. Okay, so now this time, let's talk about the treatment naman for Parkinson's disease. Now, please be reminded, guys, there is no cure for Parkinson's disease right now, as of now. So, we can only manage the symptoms. So, what are the different anti-Parkinson's agents? Okay, so we have drugs that increase dopamine levels, such as drugs like levodopa, amantadine. Okay, then we have dopa-decarboxylase inhibitors, which protects drugs like levodopa. Okay, then we have the dopamine receptor agonist. Ito yung mga nagmimimic ng effects ng dopamine inside the brain, like ropinirole, pramipexole, etc., etc. Okay, then we have anticholinergics like benztropine, bipedine trihexyphenidyl. Now, class, kindly correct that. I saw benztropine sa dopamine receptor agonist. Tanggalin nyo na lang yan. Okay, so benztropine, as you all know, guys, is a anticholinergic. Okay, sorry about that. And then next one, we have the MAO-B inhibitor, which includes selegiline and rasagiline. Okay, now kung naalala nyo, guys, ang MAO-B is the enzyme that is responsible for degrading dopamine. Now, by inhibiting this enzyme, we prevent the degradation of dopamine. Kaya ginagamit ito sa Parkinson's disease. Now, para saan naman ang MAO-A? Now, if you remember, MAO-A is the enzyme that destroys norepinephrine and serotonin naman, on the other hand, which is mostly useful kapag meron kang depression. And then lastly, we have the COMT inhibitors, such as tolcapone or entacapone. Now, COMT, as you all know, is also an enzyme that degrades neurotransmitter or catecholamines like dopamine. So, by inhibiting this enzyme, we protect the remaining dopamine inside the brain. Now, let's focus again on the brain kasi ito naman yung pinaka-affected part ng katawan natin when you have Parkinson's disease. Okay, so by giving exogenous sources of levodopa, okay, we can actually increase the dopamine in the CNS. Now, normally, or physiologically speaking, may levodopa sa loob ng brain. Now, this levodopa, when acted upon by dopamine decarboxylase or dopa decarboxylase, let's just call it ALAAD, okay? Now, dopa decarboxylase will remove the carboxyl groups in levodopa, creating now dopamine. Okay, now dopamine, sabi nga natin, is responsible for coordinated movements of the muscles. Now, when this dopamine is in the nigrostriatal pathway, okay, it can bind to the nigrostriatal pathway, so creating better movements for the person or for us. Now, ang problema lang is, sabi nga natin, wala namang forever, so dopamine will soon be degraded by either MAO-B or COMT. Now, kapag na-degrade siya, it will create homovanillic acid, which is inactive. Now, again, ano ang problema sa Parkinson's disease? Masyadong mababa ang dopamine sa loob ng brain. So, how can I protect the dopamine? Well, we can protect them by giving either MAO-B or COMT inhibitors. Now, without these two enzymes, okay, wala tayong homovanillic acid. So, therefore, spare yung dopamine. So, tumataas ang dopamine levels inside the brain. Okay? Now, another way is that we can give the patients dopamine agonist. So, again, ang dopamine agonist mimics the effects of dopamine. So, hindi sila dopamine mismo, pero they try to mimic the effects of dopamine. So, therefore, increasing the dopamine in the nigrostriatal pathway. Okay? Now, another concern, okay, that we have is that the blood-brain barrier, okay? So, the blood-brain barrier separates the periphery, okay? Yung, kumbaga, blood-brain barrier protects the brain from exogenous sources of chemicals. Now, in the periphery, exogenous dopamine cannot enter the blood-brain barrier. So, kasi, baka tanungin ninyo, Sir, kung ang problema lang naman is mababa ang dopamine, bakit hindi nilang tayo mag-inject ng dopamine sa patient? Tama ba? Okay, now, ang problema kasi is, dopamine itself, pag dopamine na siya, hindi niya kayang mag-cross sa blood-brain barrier. Okay? Now, unlike levodopa, okay, even if it is given outside the CNS, it can still penetrate the BBB, okay, or the blood-brain barrier. Now, kapag pumasok ang levodopa from the periphery going to the brain, or the CNS, okay, it will be acted upon by dopa decarboxylase or your ALAAD, converting it inside the brain into dopamine. So at least kahit paano, yung dopamine na mismo, nasa loob na ng brain. So, yon. Okay? Now, one of the major problems with administering levodopa, okay, is that there are dopa decarboxylase in the periphery as well. So, yung dopa decarboxylase makikita mo sa loob at sa labas ng brain. Okay? Now, ano nga ba ulit ang mangyayari kapag may dopa decarboxylase? Okay, it's going to convert levodopa into dopamine. Now, ano ang problema kapag sa periphery naging dopamine si levodopa? Again, if you remember, dopamine alone cannot cross the blood-brain barrier. So, nasayang yung levodopa na sana pumasok sa brain at naging dopamine doon sa brain. Now, ito pang malala. Okay? Kasi, if you remember guys, dopamine is the precursor for creating norepinephrine. Now, kapag maraming levodopa ang naging dopamine sa periphery, tapos yung dopamine na ito na-convert into norepinephrine, ano ang pwede mangyari? You got it right. We have arrhythmias, tachycardia, high blood pressure, etc., etc. So, yun ang mga side effects associated with the use of levodopa. At paano lumabas yung side effects na yun? Kasi ang levodopa naging dopamine. At yung dopamine na yan naging norepinephrine. So, are we good? So, good thing na lang there is carbidopa. Now, what is the purpose naman of carbidopa? Carbidopa naman acts as a false substrate to dopa decarboxylase. So, ano ibig sabihin nito? Carbidopa has a higher affinity for alaad as compared to levodopa. So, kung ikaw si alaad, sinong pipiliin mo? Si levodopa ba? Levodopa ba o si carbidopa? So, most of the time, ang pinipili ni alaad is carbidopa. Kasi mas mataas nga yung affinity niya. So, ngayon, pag nag-bind na si alaad kay carbidopa, ano mangyayari kay levodopa? Masasave siya. So, kumbaga, sinacrifice ni carbidopa yung sarili niya para lang masave si levodopa para makapasok siya sa loob ng blood-brain barrier. So, pag pumasok na siya sa blood-brain barrier, it will be acted upon by alaad inside the brain and be converted into dopamine. So, by doing this, it increases the levels of dopamine inside the brain. Now, you might be wondering, Sir, yung carbidopa na yan ba pwedeng pumasok sa loob ng brain? The answer for that is no. So, meaning the carbidopa cannot inhibit the alaad inside the brain or across the blood-brain barrier. So, are we clear? So, hanggang periphery lang siya. So, napoprotektahan niya si levodopa, preventing levodopa to be converted into dopamine in the periphery. So, are we clear? Very good. All right. So, it spares levodopa. Now, let's talk about the clinical uses of levodopa. So, major improvements in functionality and quality of life occurs in 70% of the patients after several weeks of using levodopa. Now, ang problema lang with levodopa is that if you're using it for after 5 years, 2 to 5 years, nawawalan siya ng effect. Okay? Now, that's the reason why, guys, as much as possible, we try to delay the use of levodopa. Alam niyo ba, ang levodopa, binibigay lang yan kapag ang patient is already old or geriatric na siya or senior citizen. So, in the case of Michael J. Fox, he was not started with levodopa kasi bata pa siya. Again, repeat lang, ano ba problema sa levodopa? After 5 years of using it, nawawala na siya ng bisa. Okay? So, we try to delay its use as much as possible. Nakakatawa lang kasi levodopa is the best drug for Parkinson's disease. Yet we can't use it immediately kasi baka magkaroon tayo ng tolerance towards levodopa. Okay? Now, after 2 to 5 years kasi it is believed that neuronal degeneration progresses, okay, neuronal degeneration progresses to the extent that the remaining functional neurons are unable to process and store enough exogenously administered levodopa to compensate for the decreased endogenous dopamine levels. Okay? So, ang main problem kasi after 2 to 5 years, obviously, nasisira din yung neurons that produces dopamine, especially in the basal ganglia, the substantia nigra. Now, carbidopa naman acts peripherally, so it does not cross the blood-brain barrier. So, carbidopa alone has little effects. Kaya napakaganda niyang gamitin as a false substrate. Kumbaga, pain siya para kay alaad. Now, in the market, you will never see levodopa alone. Okay? You will always see it in combination with carbidopa. At ano nga ba yung product na yon? That would be Sinemet. Okay, so carbidopa can reduce the dose needed for levodopa by 80%. Therefore, mas konti lang yung dose na kailangan ko for levodopa. Kasi carbidopa will protect levodopa. Okay? So, next class of drugs would be the pramipexole and ropinirole. So, if you remember, these are dopamine agonists. Okay, so they mimic the effects of dopamine and they do not undergo decarboxylation like levodopa. So, meaning, once na binigay ko, either if I give it exogenously, okay, it can cross the blood-brain barrier. Okay, and pramipexole, ropinirole, will not be degraded by alaad. Okay, now pramipexole, these drugs are alternative first-line drugs, and normally it can be combined with levodopa for optimal effects. Okay, now pramipexole may require dose adjustment for people with renal impairment. So just so you know. Now, what's the main difference between pramipexole and ropinirole? Pramipexole kasi is a D3 receptor agonist and can be excreted unchanged in the urine, while ropinirole is a D2 agonist. So, it can also be used for restless leg syndrome. Now, you might be wondering, ano ang pinagkaiba ng D3 sa D2? Now, D2 is the one that is mainly concerned or mainly found in the basal ganglia, which is responsible for movement, control, and learning. Okay? So, kung tatanungin kayo, alin dito ang specific for Parkinson's? Okay, most likely that would be ropinirole. Now, what about D3? Okay, which is dun active yung pramipexole. So, D3 naman are mainly found in the limbic system and is responsible for the feelings of pleasure. Now, it was observed that lack of activity in the D3 receptor is believed to be involved in the creation of essential tremors. Now, let's just have a recap. Okay, ano bang pinagkaiba ng resting tremors sa essential tremors natin? Okay? So, sabi natin, pag resting tremors, ito yung tremors na lumalabas kadalasan kapag pinapahinga mo yung isang part ng limb mo. Okay? Now, what about essential? Okay? Essential naman, ito yung nanginginig kapag ginagalaw mo yung muscles. Pero pag nirelax mo, nawawala naman. Okay? Okie-dokie. Okay. Now, next group of drug is amantadine. Now, who knows amantadine? Now, if you remember guys, amantadine is a antiviral drug. Now, hindi lang sa antiviral siya, okay, it was also observed that amantadine can actually increase the production of dopamine in the surviving nigral cells. So, it is very useful in the early stages of Parkinson's disease. It loses its effect after a few weeks of using it. Kaya, sayang din, no? Pero, believe it or not, class, amantadine is one of the first-line drugs used for Parkinson's disease. Now, bakit siya first-line? Kasi, kahit effective lang siya for a few weeks, at least it delays the use of levodopa. Now, again, ano ba main problem with levodopa? Mabilis kasi tayo mag-create ng tolerance. Now, we want to delay its use kasi nga it's the best drug there is. Okay? Now, halimbawa, nasanay ka sa levodopa sa maagang panahon. Now, pagdating ng katandaan mo, wala ka na magagamit na magandang gamot. So, are we clear? You might want to, during those time, you might have to opt. Baka kailangan mo na mag-opt for surgical interventions. Now, amantadine has a mild to moderate benefit for tremors, hypokinesia, and postural symptoms. Now, amantadine is believed to be a glutamate antagonist. So, if you remember, guys, glutamate is the major excitatory neurotransmitter, which has a different mechanism of action. So, it is used to improve, amantadine is mainly used to improve motor functions. Now, as an antiviral drug, amantadine is active against influenza A virus. Now, most widely used anti-dyskinesia agent for patients with advanced Parkinson's disease. So, meaning, most often than not, okay, you can combine amantadine with levodopa para mawala yung dyskinesia effect niya. Okay? Now, next drug are entacapone and tolcapone. So, what are these drugs? So, these are COMT inhibitors. So, if you remember, COMT degrades dopamine into homovanillic acid, just like MAO-B. Now, by inhibiting this enzyme, you tend to protect the remaining dopamine inside the brain. Now, even if you give levodopa, the COMT gets to it first. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, kahit na nakapasok na si levodopa sa loob ng brain, okay, madalas nasisira siya because of COMT. Now, that's why these brands of drugs were conceived because they want to block the COMT so that dopamine will not be degraded. Now, when levodopa is co-administered with carbidopa, Okay, it is primarily metabolized by COMT. So ano kailangan natin gawin? So by combining COMT inhibitors together with carbidopa and levodopa, we tend to protect levodopa. So are we good? Now, ang product na meron tayo sa market, which is levodopa plus carbidopa plus entacapone, is Stalevo. Okay, so again, let me repeat ha. Okay, just to recap, kapag ginamitan mo ng carbidopa si levodopa, napoprotektahan mo nga si levodopa kay dopa decarboxylase but not from COMT. So, pag sinabayan ko na ng COMT inhibitor like entacapone, okay, mas lalong nagiging effective si levodopa. Okay? Now, some things that you need to be reminded of, entacapone acts only in the periphery. So, this one is, entacapone is much preferred over tolcapone. Why? Tolcapone kasi can cause fatal hepatic failure. Though it's rare, okay, but it can happen. Right? Now, another difference between entacapone and tolcapone, si entacapone hanggang periphery lang, okay, while tolcapone acts in the periphery and inside the brain. Pero again, between the two, sino mas pipiliin mo? Okay, most of the time, mas pinipili si entacapone kasi nga much safer si entacapone. Okay? Next drug. Okay, everybody knows this. Benztropine, piperidine. Saan ulit ito ginagamit? Ginagamit sila to manage the EPS associated with antipsychotic drugs. And then the other drug is trihexyphenidyl. Now, what are these drugs? When are these drugs used? So, ginagamit sila during the initial stages of Parkinson's disease, often in combination with levodopa. So, one main problem is that, again, these are anticholinergics, so they will produce anticholinergic effects. Okay, so it has a significant effect on tremors and rigidity, but little effect on bradykinesia and postural reflex. Now, tawag dito, anticholinergics are only effective to 25% of patients. Unlike levodopa, okay, which is about 70% of patients respond greatly, okay, with the use of levodopa. Kaya that's the reason why kapag ginagamit ka ng levodopa, or kung gagamit ka ng anticholinergics, madalas sinasabayan ng levodopa. Okay? Now, in the brain, here we have the brain. Okay, so there are two neurotransmitters involved in Parkinson's. Sabi natin, we have, okay, the main neurotransmitter involved in Parkinson's disease is dopamine. Now, oftentimes, there is a balance between dopamine and the other neurotransmitter, which is acetylcholine. Okay? So, there should be a balance between the two. Now, what happens kapag may Parkinson's disease? Okay? So, there is a reduction now of dopamine. Now, there's often a balance between these two neurotransmitters within the striatum and the basal ganglia. But when a person has Parkinson's disease, there is a reduction in the dopamine levels. Now, what happens now to the levels of acetylcholine? So, if you notice, there is a relative, let me repeat relative increase in acetylcholine. Normally kasi balance dapat ang dopamine levels at saka acetylcholine levels. Pero again, in the case of Parkinson's disease, nawawala yung dopamine natin. So, anong nangyari ngayon sa levels ng acetylcholine? Normal pa rin naman siya, pero it's relatively higher kasi nabawasan si dopamine. Now, if you remember, kapag tumaas ang acetylcholine, ano mangyayari ngayon? Acetylcholine, this relative increase in acetylcholine can bind to NM receptors. And NM receptors, if you remember guys, is responsible for muscle contractions. Now, dahil there is a relative increase in acetylcholine, which can bind to nicotinic muscular receptors. Now, this causes the muscle tremors. Are clear? Which is the classical sign of Parkinson's disease. Now, how do we manage this? Dahil nagkaroon ng relative increase in acetylcholine, to restore the balance, what do? We can give anticholinergic drugs. So, by giving anticholinergic drugs, nababawasan yung acetylcholine to match with the levels of dopamine. So, are we good? So, again, by doing this, we restore the balance between acetylcholine and dopamine. So, there are two ways to do this. Either increase dopamine, okay, kasi yung main problem with Parkinson's, nakukulangan tayo sa dopamine, or decrease acetylcholine to match the levels of dopamine. So, are we clear? Okay, are you learning, guys? I hope you are. Okay, kahit naka-record lang tayo. Now, let's talk about the adverse drug reactions naman, adverse effects of using these drugs, specifically levodopa. So sabi nga natin, di ba, ang main problem with the use of levodopa is the dose-limiting side effect of levodopa is dyskinesia. So what's dyskinesia again? It's characterized by a variety of repetitive, involuntary, abnormal movements affecting the face, trunk, limbs, and these are the major limiting factors in therapy. And this occurs in 80% of the patients. So meaning, kapag ikaw may Parkinson's disease, ginamitan ka ng levodopa, there's an 80% chance or there's a very good chance magkakaroon ka ng dyskinesia or another movement problem. Okay? Now, dyskinesia may be relieved by either decreasing the dose of levodopa, but then again, lalabas naman yung Parkinsonian symptoms. Okay? Another side effect with the use of levodopa is akinesia. Now, if you remember, meaning absence, kinesia, movement. Now, there are 3 types of akinesia na napoproduce ng levodopa. First one is akinesia paradoxia. So, this is the sudden freezing of movement and may follow an episode of dyskinesia and is often precipitated by, guess what? Stress. Okay? So, kung ako, taong may Parkinson's disease, I'm using levodopa, I get stressed, okay, it can trigger akinesia paradoxia, which is sudden freezing of movements. Bigla na lang hindi ako makagalaw. Okay? Now, the other form of akinesia would be the end-of-dose akinesia. So, each dose of levodopa improves the mobility for a period of time, but is followed by a rapid return of muscle rigidity and akinesia before the end of the dosing interval. So, normally, ano ang pwede natin gawin para maiwasan to? Okay, you can increase the dose of levodopa, okay, to reduce the effects of akinesia. Okay, or the end-of-dose akinesia. Yun nga lang, anong problem naman natin dito? Pag tinaasan ko naman ang dose ng levodopa, mawawala nga yung akinesia, pero anong papalit? Dyskinesia. So, are we good? I hope that makes sense, class. Kung hindi man, just rewind, okay, and then listen again to what I've just said. Okay, and the last form of akinesia associated with the use of levodopa is the on-off akinesia. Now, this is probably the most significant. Okay, it's a rapid fluctuation between showing no beneficial effects of levodopa and showing beneficial effects with dyskinesias. Okay, so clinical improvement can be obtained by continuous IV infusion and in some instances with sustained release formulations of levodopa plus carbidopa. Now, ano ba ang main problem with the on-off akinesia? Okay, sabi ko nga sa inyo guys, ang problema with levodopa is mabilis tayo mag-create ng tolerance. Okay? And not only that, nagkakaroon ng on-off phenomenon with the use of levodopa. Halimbawa, ang dosing interval ko for levodopa is twice daily. Okay? Uminom ako ng levodopa ngayon, ayan, ang ganda, nawala yung shakings ko. Okay? Pero bago ko ibigay yung next dose, biglang bumabalik yung symptoms. Okay? So, on stage, kapag nasa on phase ako ng aking on-off akinesia, on, meaning walang tremors. Pag na-off na ako, bumabalik yung tremors. Okay? Now, another side effect with the use of levodopa is behavioral effects. Now, these behavioral effects may include anxiety, insomnia, early onset psychosis due to the exacerbation of a pre-existing psychotic problem. Now, if you remember guys, ano nga ba ulit ang problem kapag may psychosis ang patient? Diba? There is too much dopamine in the D2 receptors. Now, ano ang ginagawa ng levodopa? Pinapataas niya ang levels ng dopamine. Saan? Well, maraming receptors, pero one could be the D2 receptors. Now, kapag tumaas ang dopamine because of levodopa in the D2 receptors, it can also induce hallucinations, behavioral effects, or psychotic syndromes. Pero again, usually lumalabas lang to kapag may pre-existing psychotic problem na ang patient. Very good? Okay. Now, the next side effect is nausea and vomiting. Now, if you notice kasi ang daming side effects associated with the use of levodopa. Okay? Being the best drug, it's also the drug with the most number of side effects kasi it's well studied. Okay? Now, in terms of nausea and vomiting naman, if you remember guys, ano ang kailangan, dopamine is found or is the one that activates the CTZ. Now, CTZ is known to be the chemoreceptor trigger zone or also known as the vomit center of the brain. Now, pag tinaasan ko ang dopamine level sa CTZ because I use levodopa, okay, ano mangyayari sa akin? Magiging nauseous ako and it can cause vomiting. So are we good? Now, the good news is, okay, pwede ka mag-create ng tolerance to the emetic effect of levodopa. Okay, so meaning, kapag gamit ng levodopa, nasasanay din ng katawan mo sooner or later at nawawala yung nausea and vomiting. Okay? Now, the last side effect would be the cardiovascular side effects. Okay, it's very uncommon. Okay, because most of the time, levodopa naman gets the chance to go inside the brain. Okay, kasi pag hindi nakapasok si levodopa sa loob ng brain, nagiging dopamine siya in the periphery, and dopamine can be converted into norepi, which can bind to the heart, causing tachycardia. Okay, now, the uncommon cardiovascular effects of levodopa includes postural hypotension, occasional hypertension, and rarely tachycardia, arrhythmias, and atrial fibrillation due to the increase in circulating catecholamines. Okay? Okay. Okay. So, next drug would be the ropinirole, or the dopamine agonist. Okay? Now, they usually have the same ADR profile as that of levodopa. Okay? And another main side effect na associated sa mga dopamine agonists is they produce profound hypotension. Okay, and they may cause more behavioral manifestation as compared to levodopa. Okay, so ibig sabihin, most of the time, okay, pagdating sa behavioral manifestations like psychotic syndromes, etc., mas common ito sa mga dopamine agonists as compared to levodopa. Okay, tandaan nyo, baka lumabas ulit yun sa quiz natin. Okay, and then the next drug that can cause the adverse effect profile of the drug would be the drug amantadine would be confusion or hallucinations. They can also cause insomnia or headaches, and they cause peripheral edema. So this is the most common side effect associated with amantadine. Nagkakos siya ng edema or pamamanas ng binti, halimbawa, or di kaya kamay. Okay, now rarely does it cause congestive heart failure or CHF. Now, if you use amantadine for long term, it's going to cause livedo reticularis. Okay, now what is livedo reticularis? Reticularis. Okay, you can look it up on Google. Okay, pero it's generally a skin discoloration. Okay, now upon overdose of amantadine, okay, it can cause toxic psychosis and can ultimately predispose you to having seizures. Okay, now next drug would be the COMT inhibitors. Okay, specifically entacapone. Now, entacapone can cause GI or sleep disturbances, okay, postural hypotension. Now, here's the thing, gusto ko maalala nyo, it can cause orange discoloration of the urine. Okay, now ano nga ba antibiotic ang nagkakos ng discoloration of the urine? Okay, you also have there rifampicin. Okay, now with entacapone and carbidopa in combination with levodopa, okay, kapag kinumbine mo yung dalawang enzyme inhibitors na to, entacapone, carbidopa, lower dose of levodopa is needed to create the anti-Parkinson's effect, okay, or to increase dopamine levels inside the brain. Okay, now next drug would be benztropine. As you all know, this is an anticholinergic drug, so it can cause restlessness or confusion, mood changes, or arrhythmias. So just remember, class, ano nga ba yung mga side effects? Ano nga ba yung side effects ng anticholinergics? So you can remember the Alice in Wonderland mnemonic. Okay, ano nga ba yung Alice in Wonderland mnemonic na yun? So you have hot as a hare, so it increases temperature, decrease sweating, mad as a hatter, so it causes confusion, delirium, red as a beet because of vasoconstriction, so namumula ka, or dry as a bone. So inhibited yung lacrimation, salivation, etc., etc. So are we good? Okay. Now this time naman, class, let's proceed naman to the treatment algorithm of Parkinson's disease. So, if you notice, okay, so this is the treatment algorithm, you have to check, okay, if there is an impairment in the activities of daily living with kung may functional impairment ba o wala. Now, normally, we initially start with MAO-B inhibitors. Now, why MAO-B? Okay, because MAO-B tends to protect surviving nigral cells. It is believed, class, na MAO-B can help protect your substantia nigra, sorry. Okay? So, as long as patient's Parkinson's disease is minimal. So, again, the protective capacity of MAO-B inhibitors is only during the early stages of Parkinson's disease. So, kung matanda ka na, obviously, hindi ka na bibigyan ng MAO-B inhibitor kasi wala na siya poprotektahang substantia nigra. Kasi most likely, pag matanda ka na, okay, sirang-sira na yung substantia nigra mo. Okay? Now, so what else? So, normally, we do combination therapy. Okay? Now, kapag nag-progress ang disease mo, okay, nagkakaroon ka ng motor fluctuations, hindi na effective yung gamot natin, okay, pag hindi na effective ang gamot natin, then you might want to consider surgery. So, you might want to go for DBS. So, what's DBS? That's deep brain stimulation. So, parang nilalagyan ka ng electrical stimulator within the brain. So, specifically sa basal ganglia, to stimulate the basal ganglia to produce, you guess it, dopamine. Okay, yun nga lang, napaka-expensive ng therapy nito. Kailangan maghanda ng 3 milyon para lang magpa-opera, okay, to manage your Parkinson's disease. So it provides dramatic results, particularly with respect to the off period of using levodopa. Now, kahit na nagpa-surgery ka, it does not remove the need for medical management. But it definitely improves the quality of life of the patient. Now, another thing I want you guys to notice is that when treating Parkinson's disease, you need to check first kung the cognitive is intact or not. Kapag intact, then normally, bibigay ka lang ng levodopa, anticholinergics, amantadine, etc., etc. But, if predisposed ang patient for, halimbawa, psychosis, okay, or there is cognitive impairment, that's why Parkinson's disease, obviously, we need to avoid anticholinergics and amantadine. Sabay na rin natin yung mga dopamine agonists because they can make the symptoms or the psychotic symptoms worse. Okay? Now, here's another treatment algorithm. Now, what's nice about this algorithm is that it shows which drug you should start first. Okay? So, ang kanyang paggamit is starting from left to right. So, first choices would be anticholinergics. But then again, before that, kung bata-bata pa naman ng patient, we can start them with MAO-B inhibitors para maprotektahan yung surviving nigral cells inside the substantia nigra. Okay? So, dopamine, if you notice, dopamine agonists and levodopa are the preferred drug if the patient is already an elderly. So, very good. Kung bata-bata pa ang patient na diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, we start with MAO-B inhibitor, anticholinergic, and amantadine. Pero kung matanda-tanda na siya, most likely sira na yung kanyang nigral cells, then we can start the patient with dopamine agonist and levodopa. So, we good? Okay. Now, let's proceed naman to the frequently asked questions. Okay, ano ba madalas na tinatanong tungkol sa Parkinson's disease? Okay, so first question would be, what drug should not be administered with levodopa? So, we cannot administer non-selective MAO-Is, but we can administer MAO-B inhibitors. Okay, we cannot give pyridoxine, vitamin B6, and we cannot give antipsychotic drugs. Now, why? So, hindi mo pwedeng pagsabay ng non-selective MAO-Is together with levodopa because it can cause, as you all know, hypertension crisis. So, we call this the cheese effect. Okay, tyramine-rich food, di ba? If you give non-selective MAO-I together with levodopa, parehong tataas ang dopamine, ng bonggang-bongga, okay, which could cause hypertension crisis. Okay? So, another one would be pyridoxine. Bakit bawal siya isabay sa levodopa? One main reason is, pyridoxine increases the peripheral breakdown of levodopa. Okay, so ibig sabihin, pyridoxine can increase the degradation of levodopa. So, nasasayang na yung levodopa kapag sinamahan mo siya ng vitamin B6. So, kapag may patient ka class, matanda, gumagamit ng levodopa, at the same time, gumagamit ng B vitamins or B complex, dapat inform natin ang patient na huwag siyang gumamit ng B complex. Why? Because again, pyridoxine in the B complex can accelerate the degradation of levodopa. Are we clear? And then lastly, antipsychotic drugs. Why? Because it contradicts the effects of dopamine. So, antipsychotic drugs, as you all know, are strong D2 blockers. At anong ginagawa ng levodopa natin? Pinapataas ang levels ng dopamine. So, it contradicts each other. Okay? Okay. Next one. Next question. So, are anticholinergics equally effective as levodopa? Well, the answer for that is quite simple. No. It is much less efficacious than levodopa. It only helps reduce the tremor, rigidity, akinesia, and the drooling effect. Okay? Next question would be, what is the on-off effect of levodopa? Okay, so you might be wondering, ano ba yung on-off effect na yun, or the on-off phenomenon of using levodopa? So, during the on stage, or the on period, okay, you are okay. Tapos kapag off naman, the effect of the medications are wearing out. So, rapid and sometimes unpredictable changes in the patient in a matter of minutes, okay, or perhaps hour. So, during the on stage, you are free of symptoms. So, after a few minutes, kung kailan nawawala na yung effect ng levodopa, kaya minsan mabilis mawala yung effect niya, nagiging dumalabas yung ngayon yung effect ng Parkinson's disease. So, napakahirap ng ganitong klaseng side effect with the use of levodopa. Kasi, sabi mo, halimbawa, nag-take ka ng levodopa, in-expect mo mawawala ang symptoms mo, nawala nga. Pero, after a few minutes or a few hours, bumabalik yung simptomas ng Parkinson's disease mo. So, parang pinaasa ka lang ng levodopa. Mahirap pag pinapaasa. Alam nyo yan. Okay? So, are we good, guys? So, pretty much, this is the end of our topic. Okay, so again, if you have any comments, queries, or suggestions regarding our topic, so just email me at ldeluluna@cu.l.ph. Okay, or you can just ask me, class, when we're in class. Okay? So with that, thank you very much for listening, guys, and I hope you learned a lot.